Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. As the world celebrates the International Day of Yoga on 21st June, across countries, cultures, and communities, across race, religions, and regions, I don't think it's necessary to really delve upon the history, glory, and growth of yoga. That we already know. That's why we have gathered across the globe. But I do feel it is important to reflect upon the idea of how we should celebrate the International Day of Yoga. Should we celebrate it by showing respect to all the ancient saints and sages of the Upanishads and Vedas and Maharshi Patanjali for revealing yoga to us? Should we celebrate it by thanking our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Bhai Modi for proposing the International Day of Yoga in 2014 September? Should we celebrate it by thanking the United Nations for approving the International Day of Yoga in December 2014? Should we celebrate it by welcoming all the international countries who have embraced the idea of yoga? Or should we celebrate it by thanking all the millions of people across the globe who have kept the light of yoga alive? I believe the best way of celebrating the International Day of Yoga is by celebrating it with our own lives, by living it daily, breathing it daily. In these times of coronavirus crisis, times which are trying and troubled, uncertain, where death, disease, and darkness stare us in our eyes, where our future feels bleak, I believe the world has understood overnight that the creation of wealth is important, but perhaps more important is the creation of well-being. Economy is only important if it subserves the needs of the body, mind, and the soul. And what better way than uniting the body, mind, and the soul than yoga? Because yoga is more than just a fitness fad. It's more than just an exercise for the body. It's more than just the well-being of internal organs. Yoga is also an art of breathing. Yoga is also an art of thinking. And yoga is also an art of spirituality. So as we celebrate the International Day of Yoga, we must accept the fact that yoga, from the Sanskrit word, which means huge, meaning that which joins or unites. Yoga is a way of creating a union between the body, the mind, and the spirit. When we are balanced completely, as it is often described in the Vedas, the Upanishads, in the Gita, and as it was also practiced by Bhagavan Swaminarayan, who in a very young age was an Ashtanga yogi himself. He imparted the knowledge to all his sadhus, but he also explained that the ultimate aim of yoga is not just the well-being of the body, the well-being of the thoughts, but it's also the well-being of the entire human existence. And I know that all of us know that yoga is a way that can really create a positive climate in these times. While we stare at a very bleak and uncertain future, and while we wait for all the vaccines to be invented and all the medicines to help us cure the disease that confronts us, we should also know that there is nothing more important for our immunity than our positivity. Yoga is a way to create and feel positive. Look at the world around. Many times the world unites in times of crisis, as we have during this crisis. But the world also unites in times of war, in times of threats, in times of dangers, in times of challenges. But what better way of uniting the world in a more positive manner, and that is the International Day of Yoga, as millions and millions of people have united today across countries and cultures to celebrate it by daily practicing yoga. Positivity boosts up our immunity, and that would be the best way of creating a climate of unison. I believe that yes, yoga is one of India's priceless gifts to the world. In the league of many gifts that India has given, from the great Upanishads and the Vedas, from the longest poems like the Ramayana and Mahabharata, from the gifts which have changed the world like the zero, the game of chess, from so many different ancient gifts that India has given, from the seeds of democracy to the idea of moksha. Yoga is also a priceless gift of India to the world. But we should also understand that when you give a gift, the gift no longer belongs to the one who gives, it belongs to the one who receives. So yes, yoga was born in India, but now it belongs to the whole world. It belongs to all the individuals who keep it alive in their daily lives. Just as yoga has the power to unite an individual existence, it has also the power to unite the world through uniting individuals across the globe. And that is what we are doing by celebrating the International Day of Yoga. And I would like to emphasize, just as it's a beautiful treasure that guarantees the well-being of human existence, I think when you discover a treasure, one important question should be at the forefront of our mind. If you are passing through a jungle and suddenly you discover a treasure chest, now my question is, who does that treasure belong to? To the person who buried it, or to the person who finds it? Legally, you would say it belongs to the person who buried it thousands of years ago, but they are no longer here to claim it. Practically, you would say it belongs to the person who finds it, because finders, keepers. But according to me, it belongs to neither. Even if somebody who finds that treasure, he puts it in a bank and puts it in a locker and closes it for life. So he took it from the ground and put it into a safe locker which he doesn't use it. It belongs to the person who uses it. So yes, yoga was gifted by India, and it is claimed by the world. But it really belongs to the person who uses it daily in his or her life. So let us celebrate the International Day of Yoga, which has been deliberately named on 21st June as it happens to be the longest day in the Northern Hemisphere. Even philosophically, straight after this day, we have the most important celebration of Guru Purnima. It is also the day of the Adi Yogi, Lord Shiva, whose postures in yogic manner have been appreciated across the culture. So let us seek the blessings upon the entire humanity, all of us, from the gods, the avatars, of all the spiritual leaders, and everyone who practices yoga daily in his or her life, that may this International Day of Yoga not just be celebrated by words of gratitude or just manners of awareness, but by our own lives, by living yoga and breathing yoga.